Following the horrible decapitation of the French teacher Samuel Paty, the French police are now rounding up hundreds of Islamic terrorists and deporting them. France has been the victim of 50% of all of Europe's Islamic terrorist attacks over the last couple of years, so now the government in France is finally taking effective and swift action. Welcome to my channel, my name is Soran, and today we're going to take a look at the consequences of Friday's murdering of that French teacher Samuel Paty, both in terms of how the people are reacting, but also how the police are taking unprecedented steps to prevent anything like this in the future. Alright, so right off the bat, this is a really horrible and tragic situation for the French people. Just a couple of days ago on Friday, the French teacher Samuel Paty was followed and then decapitated in the streets of Paris. The Islamic terrorist who carried out the murder had no real relation to the teacher Paty, but it happened right after Paty in his classroom had introduced these characterized drawings of Muhammad. Before we take a look at how the French people are reacting to this in major cities all over France, let's take a look at how the French police are reacting, because they are moving very fast and also in very unprecedented ways. Take a look at this. France teacher attack. Police raid homes of suspected Islamic radicals. French police have raided the homes of dozens of suspected Islamic radicals following the beheading of a teacher who showed controversial cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad to his pupils. Some of those being questioned are believed to have posted messages of support for the killer of Samuel Paty. The government also said it was probing 51 French Muslim associations. Usually the French government is very careful only to go after the single people involved in a terroristic act, but this time they're actually going after the suspected Islamic terrorists and the sympathizers of those same people. So that's pretty unprecedented, a very, very strong and bold move of the French police. On Monday, Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin said the operations sent a message that there was no respite for enemies of the Republic and that they were expected to continue all week. He said that not all individuals targeted in the operations were necessarily linked to the investigations into Mr. Paty's death. Meanwhile, police will interview about 80 people who are believed to have posted messages in support of Mr. Paty's killer, Mr. Darmanin added. The government said if Muslim organizations under investigation were found to promote hatred, they would be closed down. Alright, so I know that promote hatred can be a very vague term, but he did say in other articles that they are specifically going after Muslim organizations who are applauding violence and terrorism, specifically against the Republic. And that's also a vague term, but at least it's more specified than just promote hatred in general. I have a feeling that in the coming days and the coming weeks, we are going to see something unprecedented in terms of how the French government will crack down on these Islamic terrorists inside of France. Take a look at this. Reuters is reporting that France are to expel 231 suspected extremists after attack on teacher. In this article, they are talking about expelling more than 200 immigrants who have come into France and are on this watch list of the French government in terms of being a suspected extremist. So they are putting them back into their own countries. The only problem here is that a lot of these people are coming from some of the previous French colonies within Africa, especially North Africa. And these people have dual citizenship. That means that they are, let's say, from Morocco or Algeria, and at the same time they have citizenship within France. So in terms of the legalities, it's going to be a little difficult to actually expel them. But I have a feeling that it won't matter too much in this case anymore. I think this really shocked a lot of people in France, because ever since 2015, France has seen a strong decline in Islamic terrorist attacks every single year. But obviously, there's still a massive problem within France. Actually, I looked up the accurate numbers, and France has 50% of all of the attacks, Islamic terrorist attacks happening within Europe, France has half of all of those attacks since 2018 up until 2020 today. That's a pretty crazy stat if you think about it. That's led a lot of the conservatives in France to say to the government that we need a tighter control over the constant flow of immigration from these majority Muslim countries. So, in terms of the people of France, this was really heartbreaking. So, it's led to thousands of people rallying across France in these major cities across France in tribute to Samuel Paty, who was murdered. This is what the article says about why these people are gathering. Leading politicians, civil rights associations, and teachers' unions rallied on the Place de la République in Paris, holding placards proclaiming Je suis Samuel, an echo of the Je suis Charlie slogan following the 2015 attack in which Islamist gunmen killed 12 people at the offices of the satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo. Others held placards aloft declaring no to totalitarianism of thought, I am a teacher, and schools in mourning. Between bursts of applause, others chanted freedom of expression, freedom to teach, or sang La Marseillaise. I might get that word wrong. My girlfriend would kill me because she's half French. So I'm trying to learn from her. But I'm pretty sure I got that one wrong. So I apologize to any French people watching. We are the result of our history. These values of liberty, secularism, and democracy cannot remain just words. One demonstrator in Paris told French television, we have to keep them alive, and being here helps do that. And that right there is a really good point. We have to keep them alive, and being here. I think a lot of people in our generation, especially younger people, tend to think that this freedom that you and I enjoy are just here by accident. They just kind of came here and we just grew up in a world where happily they exist. And so we enjoy them, and other parts of the world just kind of doesn't have them. But no, there's a huge difference. Literally, as most of you guys know, our forefathers died and bled and died to give us these freedoms. They didn't come for free, and they haven't always been here. History is filled with examples of civilizations that would come into existence, build up a lot of good virtues, and then just crash again. And obviously, I don't think a few radical Muslims are going to take over a system and crash what we've built up. But there's a fight to be had here. You can't just think that things are always going to remain the same. We have to stand up for what's right, for freedom of speech, of expression, of all of these things, and you can never take them for granted. So obviously France has a huge problem here, and it doesn't seem to be going away. France has for a long time led this fight for taking in as many migrants in the EU and in Europe as we can. There's a really good mentality behind that, a really good heart behind that. You just want to take care of the most amount of people that you can. But sometimes some of these reckless policies have led to the side effects of radical Islamists coming into Europe and the EU and committing these horrible acts. Obviously, that's extremely incompatible with the West and with the societies that we've built up. And I don't have a huge problem with what the French police is doing here, because what are you supposed to do when people come into your nations? They reap the benefits, but they don't want to assimilate. Some of them even want to destroy the countries that actually are supporting them. I know we're talking about a minority here, so I don't want to make it seem bigger than it is, but you can sympathize with the French people every single time this happens, because they're good-hearted people who take in this many migrants to the point that 50% of all attacks happen to them. And you just feel horrible when a nation like that takes in that many people and then it just completely backfires on you. All of that money you pour into people who don't really have any, and some of the time, at the very least some of the time, it just backfires in your face. It's really horrible. There needs to be some kind of control and tighter control of who's coming into your country. And I don't think the French government has that kind of control right now. Just the other day I did a video about Dover in England. Dover are receiving more than 100 migrants every single day from France. They're taking the journey over the sea from France to Dover in England. That's just one city in southern England receiving more than 100 illegal immigrants every single day as a clear consequence of the actions of how many migrants France has been taking in. Now they're overflowing into the neighboring countries. I won't go too much more into it, but if you're interested, check out the link that I'll leave you guys up here in the video. It's really fascinating and it's got really interesting numbers in that video. So check it out right after this video. Remember to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on these daily videos. Also, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. This is a really tough issue, so I would love to hear what you think. A bit of a tough video today, I know, but I think it needed the attention that we just gave it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.